Hi, this is Doug Manch, and you're listening to Into the Night, a Moon Knight podcast.
Yes, welcome back, Looney listeners. You are listening to Into the Night, a Moon Knight podcast. This is episode 112. I am one of your High Priests of Khonshu, Ray, and joining me for a Punisher Ambush review is the other High Priest of Khonshu, yeah, that's right, Connorshu.
Maybe, it might, I guess, it's Connor. Just the general feeling of unknown here.
Yeah, well, I wasn't sure if I just said High Priest of Connorshu. I get mixed up. Yeah, Connorshu. So Connorshu is with us. Yeah, how you been?
Yeah, not bad actually. It's been a normal week. Normal. Still, we're kind of all still off that same high of the Moon Knight announcement. We're just kind of coming down now, but not bad.
Yeah, it certainly is coming down a little now. Look, a big thank you and a big welcome to all the new Loonies in the ITK community, in the Facebook group. It's great to have you all as well. There was just a big boom, kind of after that announcement of the TV show. Things kind of skyrocketed. Now, kind of the dust has settled. There's still a little bit of talk in the Facebook group about, little things like who would your favourite showrunner be, or, fan casting and such. But as a whole, it's kind of we've kind of leveled out now, which is good as well.
Yeah, we kind of started this way. I remember when we first started this podcast because we started right at the end of the Lemire run, and we were waiting for a new announcement, and then we got the Bemis announcement, and then we had to wait like 3 months for the issue anyway. So
yeah,
so it's all one big waiting game.
Well, I mean, it's a good point that you raise as well. How cool is that? We've got until December and we'll get a Moon Knight comic book series.
Yes, you guys would have covered that last week, yeah?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah,
we did, but
I
don't know about you, Connor, but but very excited. The same kind of jitters starting to get, and I'm sure it will get bigger as December approaches for the new series. The same way that I guess the Bemis run had us all anticipating, a huge series.
Absolutely. And we still have no idea what that is, but we've got an issue with Moon Knight this week, we've got an annual next week, and then is it October we've got Contagion. Hopefully that's enough Moon Knight to see us through.
That's true. That will keep us plenty stockpiled. The Contagion, I want to just also shout out as well. We've just been in discussions with their people talking to our people, but Sons of the Dragon, the Immortal Iron Fist podcast, we're thinking of doing a crossover kind of issue of sorts, because Iron Fist is involved in Contagion, and I thought it would be fun to maybe cover the whole series with the help of another podcast.
Sounds good. We've got Ed Brisson on it. He's you would have done good at Iron Fist.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, recent Iron Fist alumni, and he's doing very good work as well. Just with he came off X-Force, and he's doing a couple of things now. I just can't remember off the top of my head, but that should be a lot of fun. I guess we can speculate a little. We've been speculating a lot with the TV show, Connor. How about with the comic book series? We're still a while off yet until we get some sort of announcement, but any ideas, do you think, who might be on the creative team?
Yeah, God, I got no idea whether this is something that kicks off from Jason Aaron and whether he brings someone over from that, or it's completely standalone. Certainly heard absolutely no rumblings about it whatsoever. I'd love, we'd love someone like Tini Howard, but she's doing Strike Force, and I don't know. It's a good time to introduce to Moon Knight back in. I think we're in such a good spot for the Marvel Universe and the supernatural and the street level. But all my usual picks for Moon Knight I imagine, pretty busy right now, actually, with other big Marvel series. So, I don't know.
We're lucky. There's a fair few good writers and artists out there as well. So I'm just wondering, this will test your encyclopedic knowledge, Connorshu.
That ain't there.
Do you remember when Bemis was announced before the run started? That's a hard one. It's a hard one to kind of... But was it like a week, not a week, was it like a month or so before, or was it... How long were we waiting after the Bemis announcement?
That would have at least 2 to 3 months.
Okay. 2 to 3 months, you're saying. So we might get an announcement in October. Earliest, we'll probably get one this month.
Well,
maybe.
yeah, because you'd have to imagine, because you have to solicit it, of course.
Oh, of course, yeah. What are they up to with the solicitors? I'm never up to date with these things. Is it up to November?
I imagine. I think we just got October, so that's
okay. Oh, okay. So it's not too long now. Very exciting stuff. Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll keep a close eye on it, and Looney listeners out there, great work. As a community, look, if we don't get to it, someone will in the community. One of the Loonies will post something up, I'm sure. I mean, we're all over the world, different time zones. So, so just keep an eye on our Facebook page, our Facebook group, and we'll bring the news as soon as we can. Well, anyway, this episode, as you touched upon lightly, Connor, we are looking at, it's a bit of a Punisher ambush again. We did the Punisher Annual number 2 not that long ago, a couple of weeks ago. We're looking at now Punisher 15, Volume 12. So this is by Rosenberg and Simon Kodransky. And this, I mean, the reason why we picked this was this kind of had us salivating when we saw the cover of it by Greg Smallwood. It
absolutely outstanding.
Oh, brilliant stuff! It's got Punisher in the foreground, behind him Night Thrasher, Ghost Rider, Black Widow, and at top of the bill up there is Moon Knight. So we couldn't let this one slip. We thought we'd give this a go at reviewing. Now that's not to say, Connorshu, that we will be reviewing every single comic that has a panel or a page of Moon Knight featuring in it. But we thought that he had a pretty substantial role in this. What do you reckon?
Yeah, he actually he did quite well for himself. I think it's kind of more more one and done than I expected, but he gets some good lines, he gets some good hits. What more could you ask for? I guess.
Yeah. So Connor and I will be looking at this. Before we get into that, sorry, Connor, we just mentioned a little before we started the show. There's only one other bit of Moon Knight news floating around.
Yeah, and that's I beat both Comics Preview and AIPT has its it's like 5-6 pages of preview for the Moon Knight Annual next week. That's Acts of Vengeance, Moon Knight versus Kang, and it seems like a really fun standalone adventure. Colin Bunn is definitely doing something fun and unique, and my biggest comparison is to say it's Mark Spector 42.
Mark Spector 42?
That was the big adventure through the multiverse,
Oh, of course, yes.
Moon Knight.
Yes, someone in the group just asked about what issue that was.
It's a good issue,
okay.
I guess. It's fun. I love it.
Yeah. Also, needless, I guess, to say, Connie, you had a bit of a cheeky peek at these issues.
I did.
Yeah.
I can never help myself.
Did it reveal anything that will kind of spoil your enjoyment of it?
No. If you want to go in completely blind, don't touch it. It kind of gives away the main conceit of the issue, but these things are kind of a big punch 'em up. So,
yep. Have you read many of the Acts of Evil stuff, Connor?
Absolutely none of them. Not either. Okay. None of the original or the new stuff. I haven't heard anything about them, but I guess I've kind of been out of the loop. So
you're not wrong. It has been very kind of low key. Let's just say that
it's such a. Sorry.
No, sorry. Go on.
No, it's such a weird thing to have. It's really smashed between. War of the Realms and Absolute Carnage, and then Contagion next month. It's very just so. I don't know. It's such a weird place to put it. Like they just had no idea what to do with it, and it's just kind of fallen through the cracks.
Yeah, it's really kind of second tier event, isn't it, in Marvel? As you say, the other ones. I've been reading actually just before we pressed the red button here, Connor. I've been catching up on my Absolute Carnage.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah, have you been reading along with it?
No, I was very behind. I kind of fell off it. I'm not sure if I'm going to catch back up. That's kind of not exactly my wheelhouse, but I've seen some interesting covers, and it definitely seems like a good time for all.
It is. It's surprisingly good. I wouldn't say it's not in my wheelhouse, but I am curious about the symbiotes. But geez, it is good. I've been reading the tie-ins as well as the core books, and I'm loving it. Well, a part of it is the fact that because I've made a concerted effort to actually read all of the Absolute Carnage stuff, all the tie-ins and the core. Yeah, and it is actually so satisfying to read it. More so than, say, Damnation. It all kind of ties together. There's some overlapping. You get more insight into the side stories, because obviously that's what the tie-ins kind of do, and it's really well crafted. And yeah, really enjoying it at the moment. So that sort of stuff compared to, say, Acts of Evil, pretty much overshadows it, as you say. With Acts of Evil, kind of look, I've been fortunate enough to guest on a couple of shows, like, our fellow collective shows like Signal of Doom and Capes and Lunatics, and we've reviewed some of these Acts of Evil annuals, and they've been really, really disappointing, actually.
Oh, no.
Yeah, really, they're not verging on average to not good, and definitely not memorable, which is a bit of a shame. But having said that, though, just the other day, like yesterday, I did read the Deadpool Acts of Evil annual, and oh my gosh, for the life of me, I can't remember who wrote it, but it was a cracker. It was really good. It was nice. Deadpool versus Nightmare. I would say, out of all that I've read at the moment, which has been the Punisher annual, She-Hulk annual as well. I read the Venom one as well, and I've read this Deadpool one, and it is really, really cool. So I'm hoping the Moon Knight annual will be something like that, but we'll just have to wait and see. You mentioned that you've been a little behind, kind of. As for reading lists, any recommendations what you've been reading lately that we can share with the Looney listeners?
Let me just pull up my list. It has been a very busy month in terms of just everything, all the TV shows, video games, and what have you that make everything a bit hard to keep up with.
It is, isn't it? We are spoiled for choice.
We are. We got to sadly say goodbye to Giant Days this week, which has been a boom kind of slice of life.
Okay.
Series, absolutely phenomenal, and that got its final issue, so now you can read it all, and highly recommend doing that.
Who writes that or draws that?
That's written and drawn by John Allison.
Okay.
He's done quite a few rounds of this, of kind of great creator-owned stuff, and it's an absolute joyous time.
Okay.
My main other recommend would be Tommy Gun Wizards.
Mm-hmm.
That is, I forget the writer, but it is Christian Ward on art, and it is absolutely phenomenal.
Right. That's by... Is that Image?
That's Dark Horse. The
Dark
writer...
Horse.
It is written by Christian Ward. Sorry, that's why I couldn't remember. Written Christian Ward, then Sammy Kivella and Christian Ward work together of a really fun, just kind of sci-fi, noir, mafia, 30s-esque romp.
Nice.
I'm selling this. There is no more selling than Christian Ward, but no, I absolutely loved it. So,
brilliant. Yeah, nice one. Okay, and that was from Dark Horse.
Yes.
Cool. Look, similarly with you, Connor, I've been kind of catching up with stuff. I'm still a little behind, but that hasn't stopped me from reading other stuff as well. So, finally finished I'll probably sound like a broken record, but finally finished my reread again of the all-new, all-different X Factor by Peter David.
Oh, right.
The collection. Yeah, I thought I'd give it another read. Why not? I really do like that run. I'm still kind of going through that again. I think I mentioned this on the show before. I'm a very slow reader Looney listeners. It's the Dark Reign Incredible Hercules that you sold to me, Connor. Yes. It's very good indeed, actually. Greg Pak is very good with his Greek mythology, and just trying to be semi-accurate with it, the places and the characters. So, very much enjoying that. Apart from that, I've been catching up with, just the last 3 or 4 weeks of the comic book releases. I'm a bit behind on House of X and Powers of X. The other recommendation I would give is to Space Bandits. It's an Image book, Mark Millar.
Okay.
It's pretty cool. It's only, what is it up to? It's only 3 issues in, but it's a fun, similar to what you're saying, Con, it's a fun space romp with some thieves and some ex-cons. It's pretty fun stuff. Also looking forward to, I haven't read it, that came out this week, Connor, but I'm looking forward to the Alpha Flight comic book. True North.
Yeah, right. I did not know that was a thing. That is...
Well, yeah, I didn't know as well until just like a couple of weeks ago. So Jim Zub is right. Oh, there's a few writers here. Oh, Ed Brisson as well. So Jed McKay. So a fair few of them. So yeah. Anyway, there you go. A few recommendations for you Looney listeners. Now, are we forgetting anything, Connor? I'm just trying to think.
No, I'm actually just looking at my pull list for last week. I've missed some good stuff. Next week will be a far more interesting recap, but until then...
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll have to sit tight. And as you mentioned, we'll definitely be looking at the Moon Knight Annual coming out next week. But, Loonies, look, hey, why don't we just... we'll go for a quick break here, Connor. But before we do any of that, I would love to give a plug to our good friends Deleta. Now, we're going to play a song of theirs. It's their first single off their upcoming EP called The Othervoid, and it's called Box. So it's based on issue 3 of the Warren Ellis and Declan Shalvey run. Now, we'll play that leading into the break, but I just wanted to also give a plug. They've got a couple of gigs coming up, which I urge you to go see. The first one, September 14th. That's next coming weekend. It's on a Saturday, 7 p.m. That's Central Time, I guess, in the US. And it is it's for the Clearwater Comedy Presents the Stand-Up Get Down. So Deleta will be playing there. They'll be playing at the Metro, and that's September 14th. Also, they have an upcoming gig on October the 11th, so this is about a month or so afterwards, and they'll be playing with Buildings, and this is at the apologies, I'm from Australia, so I'm not sure if it's the 331 Club, which is 331 Northeast 13th Avenue. And that's another gig by Deleta and Buildings. But anyway, Loonies, before we get into our comic book review, let's head into the break. But I would love to have you have a listen to Box by Deleta. Catch you soon.
You can't touch the angry anyone hear us?
This is Trey Lawson.
And I'm James Hickson.
Anyone can hear this broadcast. We need your help.
We've been kidnapped and imprisoned in a tomb by this creepy old undertaker named Mr. Gravely.
And he's forcing us to review his collection of Marvel horror comics. Stuff like Tomb of Dracula,
Werewolf by Night,
Man-Thing,
Ghost Rider,
and so much more.
Forcing us to record these reviews as a podcast called The Tomb of Ideas.
If you can hear this, please contact our families. Call the authorities. Anyone. Tell them we can be found at...
Now, boys. Let's not give too much away. You can find James and Trey every other Wednesday at the Tomb of Ideas, a Marvel horror podcast. A proud member of the Cinepunks podcast group. See you there, Tomb Believers. The Merry Marvel Marching Society.
Welcome back, Looney listeners, to this second half of what we like to call the Come Down, but instead we also have Moon Knight issue, so it's not too bad. It is our big review time for this week's big new release, The Punisher 15, the latest entry in the Rosenberg epic that he's been building for quite some time, and we are picking this up especially because it has the Moon Knight influence, so...
Yeah. Are you a regular reader to this Punisher run, Connor?
I have been reading it in trade. I actually have really quite enjoyed. I'm kind of on and off with the Punisher. A lot of runs just aren't to my enjoyment, just not quite my thing. But I've had a lot of fun with this Punisher run. This latest stuff has been especially exciting, following from Baron Zemo and Secret Empire. I've really loved it, and it's cool to pick up with this issue and have it sort of come to a head and feature our boy as well.
Yeah, I mean, before we get into it, just another quick little question to you, Connor. I mean, since you have been following it, how long do you reckon this run will last? Do you reckon it will go on to issue 24, or...
Well, it's interesting, because this obviously it's probably going to have its very definitive end for the whole Secret Empire saga, so...
So yeah, 16. You reckon that might be the last one, or no? Probably.
I don't know. It all depends whether he's got another story in him. This story did start off with stealing the War Machine armor. This run started off with stealing the War Machine armor, so it just depends whether he's willing to go even wilder with it. Which, you know.
Yeah. True. Well, this will be interesting. Loonies, if you are first time listeners. So what Connor and I will do, we'll treat it pretty much like a classic run review or a modern run review. We'll go through a quick synopsis of the story, followed by we're going to be a little loose with this because it's not really a Moon Knight issue, but we'll be looking at Moon Knight's appearance in it, how effective he was used, as well as the story, the art, all that sort of stuff as well. And we'll cap it off with a Moon rating from our highly convoluted system, rating from all the different phases of the Moon, full Moon being 10 out of 10, new Moon a 0, and everything in between. So... I'm not sure, Connor. I'm happy to do it. Otherwise, if you're happy to do it as well, do you want to give the synopsis for this?
Yeah, sure.
A sliver. So a short little summary.
So this is written by Matthew Rosenberg with artist by Simon Sisman Kadransky, colorist Antonio Fabella, letterers VC's Corey Petit, incredible cover artist Greg Smallwood, with their editor Jake Thomas. They've kind of been there for the whole run, and they're still kicking butt. So like I said, this is the big sort of coming up to the conclusion of the Thunderbolt versus the Punisher. This is Baron Zemo's new team of criminals who have been taking on the Punisher after he's been killing Hydra agents, but this issue sees Punisher's own little team of Night Thrasher, Black Widow, Ghost Rider, and Moon Knight join in to take the fight to the streets with Baron Zemo, and it has, let's just say, consequences.
Yes, certainly does. Certainly does. Another member there, we'll get to it as well, Connor, as she plays a little bit of a pivotal role, Sergeant Rachel Cole Alves.
Yes, it was nice to see her there as well. Sorry.
Yeah, I loved her her outfit as well. She's got that Punisher helmet, real quick kick-ass sort of stuff. So that's basically it. This issue is, as Connor mentioned, it's a showdown between the Zemo's Thunderbolts and Punisher's what do you call them? Just vigilante group. Also, just added to that, so Zemo is in cahoots with the Kingpin, who is currently the mayor of New York, and Kingpin has allowed Zemo to enter New York with a whole heap of Hydra agents, all dressed up as UN soldiers or peacekeepers. So it's literally just war on the streets here. Overall impressions, Connor? What did you think of this issue?
It was a little underwhelming, if I'm going to be honest. I think, I said I really enjoyed this run. I've really enjoyed this art. This was fun enough. Is basically, my review. It could have been more, but I'm not disappointed. I read it, and obviously it's leading to the big finale, which will probably be nice and one-on-one and personal.
Yep. I'd share your sentiments to an extent as well. Look, I'm always keen for action, and this is a big, head-to-head with the Thunderbolts and Punisher's crew. I found the fight scenes kind of quite a little disappointing. Yeah.
No, I'll let you finish before I jump in.
Yeah, so hold that thought. It was just the fight scenes. When something happened, it was little, but when you get the grand sweeping canvas of the whole fight scene, it was just them posing. You didn't get really any substance with what they were doing. I would have loved to have seen, there was an allusion to one-on-one matchups, and I would have loved to have seen more of, Moon Knight versus, don't even know who he goes up against, that flying villainous. I would have liked to see them go into a bit more detail with it. So the fighting was very underwhelming, I thought. The art is great. The story very simple, which is basically a throwdown. But you were about to say something, Connor?
No, that was 100% it. I like this team a lot. I love what they've done. And, I read this and something was really missing for me, and I just couldn't tell what. The art is really good. Like, I love the look of it. And, we'll get to the dialogue in a bit. That was pretty fun. But it's 100% that the fighting itself, I think, is just really uncreative.
It is.
I love a good fight. That's a big part of superhero comics. Sorry about the sickness, everyone. I didn't realize it was this bad before I jumped on.
It's contagion. Contagion.
Shit, it's this is advertising at its finest. But it really is just fisticuffs, and there's no crescent darts. There's no, there's one shot of Night Thrasher's skateboard, and it's just sort of guns and fists. And you're right, just poses, just standing around with fists out, and that was really, really disappointing, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I mean, look, also as well, one good thing, one bad thing. Look, and obviously maybe because I'm looking at it from a Moon Knight perspective, the most excited I got from this issue was actually hanging on every bit of dialogue that Moon Knight was actually saying. I found that kind of thrilling, and I kind of liked the way that Rosenberg kind of portrayed Moon Knight. One of the massive downsides of this as well is that, look, you get a very visual character like the Ghost Rider, and he's just not utilised, as we mentioned in the fight scenes. There are a couple of Hydra goons just saying, he's that guy with a flaming head. He comes, motoring in on his Ghost Rider cycle, but there's nothing. Like, you don't see anything. You don't see a this is Danny Ketch as well. You don't see his chain. You don't see a penance stare. You don't see any of that stuff. You see him punching a guy. And that's pretty underwhelming. I think it's a lost opportunity for a character that is one of the most striking characters, period, Ghost Rider. Similar with Moon Knight. Although it was great to see him there, and his intro, I thought kind of was really cool about him. It's very typical him. There's a spotlight shining on him, and him just talking badass stuff to these soldiers. That was pretty cool. But then the most you see of Moon Knight is him just jumping, like, with a cape.
Entirely, yes. And
it seemed, for a second there, there's he does it again, and I almost was thinking, hang on, did he just cut and paste him from last time? Because very similar. So the fighting was massively underwhelming, I thought. But, Frank Castle, he had some good things there. But nowhere near as good as some other stuff that he's done, I guess. Not at all. It's really interesting with Danny Ketch that the biggest piece with fire was just the Punisher or Rachel with the flamethrower. Yes.
It's not even Danny's time to shine.
Oh, it's crazy. And with Night Thrasher, whom I know a lot of Loonies as well are, are closet fans of Dwayne. Is it Dwayne Taylor? Dwayne
I don't
Johnson?
know him by costume, thanks to Mark Speck at Moon Knight, but and Round Robin and all that.
Oh yeah. But I was excited to see him going into the fray. Apart from the one skateboard kind of shot, you don't see much of him as well, other than him just doing his generic kicking and punching. He's a gadgets man. I would have loved to have seen a bit more weaponry that he uses. So again, all these characters were underutilized. Black Widow, she was a sniper, and where the hell was she for the rest of the issue?
I genuinely forgot she was there until I went to the cover to get the credits of this issue.
There you go. Yeah, she disappeared. She was on the rooftop somewhere. She shoots a couple of shots at some Hydra goons. There was a nice little special. There was one little trick shot which I thought was cool. It was Rachel. Does she have a code name, by the way? Rachel.
She's had a few. I don't know what a current incarnation is the problem with this weird Punisher mask deal.
Yeah. Well, Rachel. We'll just call her Rachel. She had a nice little thing there with the soldiers coming up, and Frank was hiding in the not the wheelie bin, the skip. He was hiding in the skip, and he comes out with a flamethrower. That was pretty cool, but that's about the only innovative kind of action scene I saw. You mentioned Connor dialogue. Now, a couple of nice quippy things here.
Yeah, just a few fun pieces of dialogue. There's a great bit about Frank not making jokes. This.
Yes,
I think Dustin pointed this out to me as well, and I've just gotten to reading it now. Moon Knight's great if we die here. You and I are going to have words, which is, kind of a stupid line that's kind of been riffed on before, but with Moon Knight it kind of has this fun aspect of Moon Knight's complete, being unfazed with a death that he's faced 3 times in canon now.
Yeah, he's unkillable.
And I think Night Thrash has some fun bits of dialogue that show, Matt. Rosenberg, likes these characters, and there's a reason they're in this story. I guess he just didn't know what to do with them.
Yeah,
physically.
Yeah, exactly, absolutely. That was one of the main sticking points with this whole issue. I think was what Rosenberg. He didn't seem like he knew what to do with them, other than the fact to have a team go up against the Thunderbolts, and them being kind of pretty cool and slightly dark for street level. Look, I thought the dialogue, and again, maybe it's bias, I don't know, but I thought Moon Knight had probably the best dialogue for what he was given as well. So going through his appearance, so his appearance is kind of continual throughout the whole issue, but he appears first with a whole heap of Hydra goons, and he says... and they run into him, and he's just the lone figure with a spotlight, a lamp light down on him. He says, "If I were you all, I would have wanted to see that guy with the flaming head. I would have liked to see what the guy with the flaming head was going to do, because what I'm going to do will be worse." So pretty much badass talking there. And as you mentioned, Connor, there's that quip about, the way I took it was that Moon Knight was saying, as you're saying, he's not phased about dying and stuff, but yeah, it's pretty funny because as you're saying, it was a riff, but it's all the more relevant to Moon Knight because he has died before, and the fact that, he's expecting, I don't care if I die, that's not the issue. The issue is that I'm going to have words with you, and that's, I thought that was pretty cool. And the other one kind of was, so Rosenberg actually references Khonshu here as well. Now, I wanted to know your thoughts on this because it does paint Moon Knight here as quite a devout Khonshu follower, and this has kind of been, I don't know, in and out in a lot of Moon Knight, the way Moon Knight has been written. So anyway, he goes up against this Thunderbolts person. He says, Khonshu, give me strength to destroy false prophets. So, very, has a very kind of religious a tone to it. But yeah, did you make anything of this statement?
Yeah, actually, I just read that preview for the Cullen Bunn issue and all, and that was quite heavily Khonshu dependent. So I guess kind of moving, I guess the his individual one could be completely different again, but
yeah,
it's quite possible moving back into a Moon Knight who was quite devout. Because that's an interesting role to take, I think. Obviously, it's just kind of a one-off thing, but faith is quite an interesting concept in Heroes. And
yeah, well, I mean, also the fact that he's had so much trouble with Khonshu himself. There's been such a love-hate relationship between the two. If you were to look at, or actually the Bemis run, Khonshu seemed to be a little bit more compliant with. Yeah,
he was just fishing.
He was just fishing, and he was almost part of Mark's identities itself, really. He's integrated into that. Lemire's run, the run before it, Khonshu was very much a troublemaker. And then you look at the Vengeance of the Moon Knight, Khonshu is very, very bad in that. Houston run, very bad at that. Bendis run, I don't think you see much of Khonshu at all. So it depends, I guess, on the writer, but it seems that like now, Khonshu is very much in favour. Moon Knight is very much in favour of Khonshu. So it'd be interesting to see, the annual and this series in December. So I mean, apart from that, there's really not much to describe here, Connor. There's just a lot more fighting.
Yeah, we kind of covered it. I will say, again, the art is nice. That first shot of Moon Knight is absolutely wonderful. It's a really nice use of blacks, and there's a lot of good reds with the amount of fire that's involved in this issue. Good job between Kudranski and the colorist who has a memorable name that I've forgotten. It's definitely
Favela? Is it Favela?
Yes, Antonio Fabella.
Fabella, okay, sorry. The art I thought was quite and very consistent with the whole run so far. Very dark, but there's a lot of detail in it, and it's quite clear still. I think his layouts are great, and his eye for following the action is quite good. Like, he's quite fluent. You can see what's happening, regardless of the fact that there's not much happening by the way of details and stuff. A question here, Connor, as well. Actually, a question here. The guy that the Punisher nails, and he turns out to be some sort of android or something. Did you know who that guy was?
No, I did not.
No, it was like a bit raider. Anyway, I thought that was a nice little. There was a nice parallel between that, and it reminded me of Thanos and Scarlet Witch in Endgame.
I thought I'd heard that line before, I just couldn't place it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Again, another really kind of, if you're a badass, you'd say that sort of stuff as well, especially as you walk over the dead body of, the person that you just shot. So the Punisher gets a couple of really cool lines here as well. And another question, here we go, Connor, another one to test you out. Citizen V, right? That was Zemo dressed up as it. I don't know much about Citizen V. I know Rick Ball. I know the Rick Ball special. he knows. Well, he's a big fan of Citizen V, but yeah, is Zemo typically Citizen V as well, or do you know?
We've actually kind of seen him. He has been him before. He's had quite a number of A-listers, I believe. I do remember his beautiful purple, but
yes,
it's
right.
I don't think I don't remember him using Citizen V that much in this run either. I've just seen his beautiful purple head.
Yeah,
nice,
because because it is Zemo behind the Citizen V mask.
Yes.
Yeah. I thought so. Also, as well, look, this I thought took me out of it a little. You have Zemo / Citizen V shooting at Frank as Frank runs up, missing everything but Frank's head and body, and Frank's like, a couple of meters away from him. I thought, like, geez, it's got to be a really bad shot to miss Frank that close. But,
it really felt superhuman to me, actually, now that you say that.
Yeah, that was a little bad as well. Again, so I don't know. Maybe I don't want to talk bad about Simon Kudransky, because he is good, especially I think with the Punisher run. Not so much with Damnation, which we've discussed before. But his action scenes are really something to... they're questionable sometimes. I mean, I'm thinking about the other previous issues as well. I mean, they've been fine. When the Punisher was in prison as well, I thought that worked really well. There were a couple of really tense, close quarters action scenes there. That was fine. It just seems, I don't know, it just didn't do it for me. It didn't work.
I think he's a perfect artist for the Punisher. I don't think he's a perfect artist for these superheroes. It just obviously isn't quite to his strengths, and writing and the composition of action, it can be quite a dual process. How much of it's Kudransky, how much of it is Rosenberg. But I think either way, it just these superheroes are a fun concept, a novel concept to a story like this, but it just it wasn't quite what it needed.
No, not at all. And so, anyway, to kind of cap off this story, Rachel, at the end, she gets kidnapped or held hostage by Citizen V / Zemo, and they drive away, and Frank's left kind of having to follow them, after Zemo's taunting him to follow them on his own. So that's obviously setting up for some big showdown. Whether or not we'll see Moon Knight and the others again, Connor, it looks pretty unlikely.
Yeah, it's that classic, have them all show up and they can go away now, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, they can leave as quickly as they turned up. A couple of questions again here, Connor, a couple of positing some questions here for you. So Moon Knight, okay, we know he's getting a series. He's coming in December. We see Danny Ketch, Ghost Rider here. Now, I've just recently read as well the latest Avengers, which came out like last week or the week before. And it had, obviously, Johnny Blaze is still active in the Marvel Universe. He's the ruler of Hell, as seen in Damnation. So he was down there in Hell racing Robbie Reyes, because it's what Ghost Riders do, apparently. So they're racing to see who's top dog, and then I believe one of them will absorb the other's powers or something. So we got Johnny Blaze, we got Robbie Reyes, and we have Danny Ketch, all running around at the moment in the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
And on top of that, and no spoilers because it's been a couple of weeks now, I think it has, or just maybe the week past. Well, anyway, spoilers if you haven't read Avengers 23 or whatever the last issue is. So big spoilers, to block your ears now. Anyway, the big reveal is that the Doomsday Bringer, I guess, to the Avengers is Cosmic Ghost Rider. He comes in as well. So we have, how many? 4 Ghost Riders running around the Marvel Universe now. It should be pretty exciting for the boys at Inner Demons.
Yeah, bloody oath. And it's kind of interesting wondering where each of them end up, because one of them is in the Avengers. Ed Brisson's running Johnny Blaze.
That's right. That's the one.
Oh,
that's what I
and
was thinking.
Danny Catch, actually. Never mind.
Yeah, he's the Ghost Rider series
in that
coming
too.
out later on. Yeah,
Sure bloody is. I'm just reading that solicitation now.
that will be very good. Actually, Ed Brisson, anything he writes at the moment. I mean, I loved his Iron Fist, and I did like his X-Force run.
Actually, yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah. So, okay, I guess, well, I was going to ask a question, but I was about to say, like, is there any continuity but I think that answers it, yeah. There's a series coming out, of course, of Ghost Rider. So, big things, a big year for Ghost Rider. So be sure to check out Inner Demons, a Ghost Rider podcast. Looney listeners, they are a fellow collective member too, and they'll be surely covering it all. Also, the other question, Connor, Night Thrasher. Do you think this is a backdoor entry into probably a return of the New Warriors or anything like that?
I don't know, because I haven't heard anything about his friends coming up, but...
True. Because he has kind of... I mean, apart from this, I'm sure he popped up somewhere else. Like, there seems to be a bit of interest now in Night Thrasher. He popped up in an annual ages ago as well, out of the blue. So, I don't know. Are you a fan of the New Warriors, by any chance? Or
I have read them because of Nova. I haven't quite gone all in, though. I should, though, because I really liked what I read of them. That's a fun team.
yeah.
Remember one issue, there was a giant cat.
Oh, okay. Awesome. You can't get wrong with that.
That's important. Yeah, exactly. Pretty sure he died in that issue as well, but whatever. He was there.
Oh, no. Okay, well, if there's anything else here, Connor, anything else on Moon
that's
Knight?
kind of it. It was sadly short, which I think kind of is a feeling of a lot of this issue. But yes.
Actually, a little shout out to a Looney Brian. I think he got in quick and he dropped into the Facebook group that Moon Knight's appearance is quite limited in this. I'd say he got a fair deal in here. Like, he got a fair bit.
As much as any other hero got in this issue, I guess.
Yeah, he got a bit of fair play. Well, he had a few pretty cool one-liners, and he had a little 3 panels of his moment in the sun there. I thought that was okay. But yeah, anyway, moon rating systems then. Moon rating. Let's not talk about the moon rating system. The moon rating itself, Connor. So if we were to look at this, are we going to do this solely from a Moon Knight point of view or as a whole? Let's do it as a whole, right?
I think one leads into the other pretty easily with my thoughts of this issue. Yeah, I think I kind of started this issue episode off with a Waning Gibbous, but the more I think about it, the more I kind of walk away leaving with nothing. Like I said, in a way, it's I like the art, I like the dialogue. It's fun, but it's simple in both the events that play out and the choreography and fighting of the issue. So I think a half moon kind of settles it. Obviously you read this issue because you're enjoying this run, and we'll take you to the next part, which hopefully will be a more enjoyable issue. But yeah, it was sadly underwhelming.
Yeah,
and I just get more underwhelmed with every little bit.
Fair enough. No, that's okay. So half moon, 5 out of 10. So it just gets a pass mark, which is okay.
Yeah, it's not a bad issue, and you've got to read it for both the plot and there's still things to take from it. But
yeah, yeah. Look, I'm not too far from you with this as well. Again, one leads to the other. And look, again, I say this again and again. I do love my action scenes. So the build-up for this, for the big team, and for going up against the Thunderbolts, I was expecting a big hoo-ha. I love the art. I love Simon Kudranski's art, but I think he really did undersell it because I'm not sure how much is instructed by Rosenberg and how much Kudranski is meant to come up with the fight scenes himself. I think some writers pretty much know panel for panel where they want to go with the fight scene. I think others leave it to the artist, I believe. So if Kudranski was left to his own devices, I found it massively underwhelming, although aesthetically it was good. So the art was great, it was just that the content didn't deliver. And I would give it a really low Waning Gibbous. So I'd give it a 5.5, 5.5,
Yeah,
maybe a
fair.
6 Waning Gibbous. So a little bit more than just a pass, because I think the art was enough to give it a pass, and just the fact that you got these guys together to fight was pretty cool. And Moon Knight had a little bit of his own thing going there. So yeah, 5.5 I'd say is a pretty decent mark for that. So there you go, Looney listeners. Those are our reviews and our thoughts. By all means, pick it up, check it out, see what you think as well. And yeah, it'd be fun to actually hear if you have any thoughts on the issue as well. Actually, don't think I put a discussion thread up. I may have forgotten.
What have we done?
Sorry?
Oh no. Oh no. It's alright. We'll forgive you.
Yeah. So
I could have done it as well, but I didn't.
That's cool. So anyway, that's it. Loonies for this this little review. You'll be glad to know that that next week, next phase, we have got, again, we are going to discard the phases of the moon because it is a new comic book review. We will have the Moon Knight Annual, Acts of Evil, Moon Knight versus Kang. That will be reviewed. That'll be pretty fun, Connor, and I think we'll have on board Tommy the Man on the Streets, Cavill, to join us as well. So that will be a fun little chat as well.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Good or bad, there'll at least be a bit more to chew on for that one. So look
oh
forward to
yeah,
that.
absolutely. Yeah, we'll get into it a lot more than this one. This was like, it was essentially a Punisher issue, but we could not do a review on this because it just seemed like Moon Knight was going to be featuring in it quite a bit. So, yep, so that will be on our episode 113. Also as well, next episode, it will be a thrust upon the Loonies, whether they like it or not. We have our next episode of the ITK serial, The Hunt for Khonshu's Golden Scepter. Ooh. We're up to episode 5, yeah, so earlier on I left a little tidbit, a little teaser as to what to expect for episode 5. It seems like we'll be looking at the Mercs there, Dustin, Coldcase and Geronimo, as they are still stuck in Bosco Verde. We'll see what happens with them in that next adventure. That will be fun, so go check it out as well. So we've got a couple of things there to tide you over, Loonies, for next week. But yeah, anyway, that's anything else to add, Connor? Do you want to?
No, I think. Thanks, Jonas. I'm sorry for being so sick. I didn't realise I'd be this bad before I jumped on the mic. But
no, that's okay. I hope you just rest up as well. I know you've been, Connor. For listeners out there, Connorshu's been working very hard, very early hours as well. So yeah, just make sure you take care of yourself, Connor. Make sure you don't drive yourself to exhaustion.
You'll just die and come back again. Moon Knight did it. Seems pretty easy.
That's right. Yeah, how hard can it be? Connor, would I be able to ask you where Loonies can find us?
Yes, of course. We are available in plenty of places. One of those is our website, which is intothenightpodcast.wordpress.com. Newsletters, episodes, links, the rest of our great collective podcasts we've been doing some crossover with. You've either heard them here or heard Ray around there. Check them out. It is a great place to find that all in one place. But our Facebook page does the same. That's facebook.com/ITKMoonKnight, with @ITKMoonKnight on Twitter being to find those there. A fantastic Facebook group, discussion all the time. So many new Loonies with all this wonderful hype. Join the speculation and news. Facebook.com/group/ITKMoonKnight. And, if you want to if you want to email us, happy to take it all. It's itkmoonnight@gmail.com. And then, catches, YouTube, all those good places. If you like us enough, you can leave us an iTunes rating. It helps us a lot.
Yeah, no, exactly, Loonies. We always love to hear from you. We're hearing more and more newer Loonies as well that have joined the group. And they're, They range from absolute newbies curious about Moon Knight after the TV announcement to actually seasoned fans who have only just discovered our Facebook group or the podcast. So really great to have you all on board. Just a little bit of housekeeping as well, Loonies. Look, so we have been getting a lot of requests that we really do love for joining the group. If you can please... if you do listen to the show and you are thinking of joining the group, please by all means do. You will be accepted, but please tick off that agreement to at least having read our guidelines of just how to conduct oneself and be very encouraging towards one another and basically all that sort of jazz. If you can agree to that and then click pending request, it will be approved straight away. Unfortunately, if that's not ticked, we can't approve it. So please keep that in mind if you want to join our group, and please do, because we just, we'll have you in a heartbeat. It's all good. So far, a lot of Loonies, everyone has been very accommodating. They love to share their art, their fandom, their fanfic, their collection as well. Everyone's talking about the TV show. Everyone's talking about the upcoming comic book series. So it's a great time to be a Moon Knight fan. So go check us out. Thank you, Connorshu. Please get well. Have a lozenge or some Benadryl.
I've already gone through 3.
Oh,
we're doing all right.
Thank you, Loonies, for listening. We'll catch you next week. And as always, may Khonshu watch over the denizens of the night. Catch you later.
Goodbye.
Moon Knight and affiliated characters, stories and events are properties of Marvel Characters Incorporated. Materials used and discussed within the podcast are intended for critique and review purposes only under the fair dealing concept of the current Copyright Act. The views, information, or opinions expressed during the podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of the copyright owners.